everyone. Welcome into another episode of A Walk with the Warhawks. Today's show is presented by Raising Cane's, located on South Clack Street, right here in South Abilene. Stop by and get some chicken. Raising Cane's, proud partner of McMurry Athletics, proud partner of A Walk with the Warhawks. Today's guest is our newest member on our campus. We're so excited to have him here, our strength and conditioning coach, Zak Snell. Zak, welcome to A Walk with the Warhawks.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it. Excited to get to know everybody and have everybody get to know me pretty quickly, so that's good.
Yeah, and I guess what I should have said is welcome to Abilene. You've been here now about a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks, and I know that's got to be exciting for you. So how does it feel to be at McMurry? How does it feel to be in Abilene?
Right, yeah, I've been here about a week, and it feels great. Did schooling down at Angelo State, so it's nice to come back to Texas and really up to Abilene. I've been here a handful of times, but now to actually live here and really get to understand the community, and especially McMurry, be at a school that I think has a lot going on for it, and make it good, make it great, just keep rolling.
Yeah, and already within a week, you've already kind of made your impact. You're working with the basketball teams right now as they're in season, and then obviously a busy spring coming up, but you're no stranger to being busy. You've been at a lot of different places. You're no stranger to West Texas, working in Angelo State, but then you were at Louisville, you were at Arizona for a little bit, and then you went to school at Wisconsin, UW Stout. So you have that Division III background as well. But being at all these places and having all those experiences, what have you taken from some of those places on your journey, and what do you plan to bring to us in Abilene?
Pretty much every place I've been, I've taken bits and pieces of. Everywhere I've been a coach, or I've learned from some of the best coaches. When I was at Louisville, I was with one of the best football programs there was that year in 2017, with the Heisman Trophy winner Lamar Jackson, and being able to understand how these coaches coach different athletes and really get to know what it takes to be a good coach. They taught me a lot, especially coming straight out of undergrad. And then I went to Arizona, as you said, and that was a whole different ballgame. I was with everybody except football, and the training styles were different. The coaches were amazing. They taught me a lot of stuff, and a lot of the stuff that I learned from them I brought here to McMurry, and I'm going to implement. And it's just been really good. And as you said, I went to a Division III school. I played football up there, and I understand what it takes to be a Division III athlete and how it is as a Division III athlete. So I feel bringing all the experiences from the Division I's and my personal experience from a Division III, I can really enhance this and make it a good culture for them, because I understand what it is as a Division III level.
Yeah, and one thing that you said that really stood out to me was, not only did you worked football at Louisville, but you worked pretty much every other sport, excluding football, at Arizona, and then start getting your start with women's basketball at UW Stout. I mean, there's a lot of diversity there in your sports, and how helpful is that to you as you work with all 21 of our programs at McMurry?
Right. I think it's very important, because obviously every sport's going to be different. You can't train one sport exactly the same as you're going to train the other sport. Many of them have polar opposites, like hot and cold, between what they have to do. So understanding what the sport really needs and understanding how the body has to move so that we can, do our best to lower the risk of injury, but also make them better out on their field or court, is what we have to do. Or even swimming in the pool, we have to understand how that works. So understanding that I've been with different sports is amazing, because I've had the opportunity to work with different teams and understand who needs what. But I've also played most of these sports growing up. I played football and baseball and ran track in high school. I played football in college. But when I was a kid, even all the way up through middle school, I played soccer, I swam, I played golf, I played tennis. My sister played softball. She was a discus thrower. Just having that background of understanding what the sport needs is incredibly important. And I'm just glad that I was able to not be only a football coach, but be an Olympic trained coach too on that side of it.
Yeah, that's so amazing. And I'm sure that, once you start developing these plans and they all start to be seen by our athletes, they're all going to look completely different, because every sport trains differently, as you said. One last thing I want to ask you before we get into rapid fire, what made you want to get into this business? What made you want to become a strength and conditioning coach?
Right. And that's a question I get asked a lot, and it's it's a good question to ask too, because when I was at Stout for 5 years, we had 5 different strength coaches, and while they all had their own take on everything, we didn't really have something substantial to keep going with. So the programs would always change, and throughout all of my years, even starting junior high, and going on into high school, there were some old school ways of teaching that just didn't work anymore, that they caused injury. And I got a few injuries that were correlated to the weight room. It didn't happen in the weight room, but it was because of improper teaching. So I really wanted to make an impact on athletes from this standpoint. It's nice behind the scenes style work where I don't have to be the main focus. The athletes can be the focus, and I get them in the weight room, get them stronger, faster, make sure that we lower the risk of injury, and then they can go shine out on their sport. And that's what I really wanted to do, was be that guiding force, and for a duration of time, not just a one and done or keep switching in and out, because programs are different. With every strength coach, everything's going to be different. You're rarely going to find one coach is the same as the other one. So having the same coach throughout the time and being able to hold a program is just awesome. You get to see athletes grow, they get to see themselves grow, and then you get to see them excel out on their sport. So that's the main reasons. Was I wanted to make sure that they didn't get hurt, and I wanted to see them shine without me having to be the focal point. And this is the best of both worlds, behind the scenes, and they get to shine. So perfect for me.
Yeah, it sounds like an ideal situation. Not only do they get to become bigger, faster, better, stronger, meaner, and you get to help prevent injuries, but you get to be a part of their life in a big way. And that's really cool. And to be behind the scenes doing that, and something that you obviously know what you're doing, that's also very good. Zach, so we know about you a little bit as a strength and conditioning coach now, but we want to get to know you as a person. Are you ready for rapid fire?
Let's do it.
All right, rapid fire. All right, Zach, it's time for rapid fire. First question for you right off the bat. You're from Wisconsin, obviously coming from way up north to way down here in the South. How do you describe West Texas to somebody from Wisconsin?
It's warm. I mean, especially right now, you go back to Wisconsin, I think it's 18 degrees where my parents live up in northern Wisconsin, and it's in the middle of the day. What time is it? I mean, yeah, it's 11 in the morning, and probably 19 degrees. I know that they're going to get snow here soon, but you come down here, it's warm. It stays lighter later, which is nice. I've called them and at 5, and it's pitch black there, and I've still got quite a bit of sun here. But yeah, it's really nice. I mean, it's not the stereotypical of what you think, like, oh, you're going to pass cactuses and tumbleweeds and everything, especially up here in Abilene. I mean, you go south and you go through those hills, all green trees and windy roads, and it's nice down here. So I'm pretty stoked to be down in Texas.
Awesome. Well, that's what we like to hear, man. And, you know, for me, it's easy to talk about the food, but the landscape is another big part of it too. You're absolutely right. And the weather.
Right.
So on the flip side, you know, how do you describe Wisconsin to somebody that's from Texas?
Depends on the time of the year. I mean, if you go up there in the winter, and it's winter a lot, it's winter for a long time, it's really cold. It's dark for the most part. You have cloudy days a lot. And if it's snowing, it's snowing. And I think last year the year before last, we set a record with a total of like 16 feet or something of snow. I mean, it was just, you see snow all the time. It's white, and it's just a dark place. When the clouds get dark, it gets darker real quick.
Wow.
But then you get to spring, and it's amazing. There's no humidity. It's 70 degrees. It's bright green and blues, and it's an amazing place to live in the spring. Fall, beautiful colors. You don't have any dead trees, really. It's just that nice amber and orange and red. And in the summer, it gets warm. I mean, we get up to the hot temperatures as well. Not that much humidity, especially up north. And it's a nice place, especially during the summer, because you get the heat. You don't get the humidity. You get nice breezes. There's a bunch of lakes. So that's really nice. And then, as you talked about, you get to food. Food is I mean, it's up there. It's a dairy state. So
Right.
you get cheese curds. You get everything with butter and cheese and everything. You eat some good food up there. So,
Whew. Man,
yeah.
that's great. I'm gonna have to make a trip to Wisconsin. I've got it on the bucket list for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Let's go ahead and set the record straight right now, because I think we've talked about this before, just between you and I. I don't believe you're a Packers fan being from Wisconsin. Is that right?
Correct. I used to be, but not anymore.
Okay, so go ahead and let us know who your teams are.
For football, it's the LA Rams. I did middle school and high school in northern Los Angeles, or in Los Angeles County. And as soon as the Rams went from St. Louis to LA, I immediately switched. And some people call me a bandwagon, but I mean, you got to think about it. They were like 4-12 the first year they went to LA. I stuck by them, and I was a Packers fan though up until that point. All my family lives in Wisconsin. I actually have a signed Leroy Butler jersey. He's an idol of mine. And so I was a Green Bay fan for a long time, but as soon as LA gave me a team, it was LA. Everything else other than football though is Boston. Boston Red Sox, Bruins, Celtics, everything else is Boston.
Wow. How does the Boston thing come about?
My dad is a Red Sox and a Celtics fan, and it's funny too because I'm a Boston everything fan. I have never once been to Boston. It's someplace that I just want to go really bad, but everything about Boston is just I love Boston, and the sports team, especially the Celtics, and being a kid from LA, liking the Celtics with the rivalry with the Lakers didn't go over so well. But yeah, everything else is Boston except football.
Yeah, I'm not sure there's very many Rams fans that are also Celtics fans, but also not sure there's many. Well, you know what? No, I take that back. There probably are a lot of Lakers and Patriots fans.
Probably,
Yeah.
especially now with LeBron being on the team and Kobe being one of the best players that ever lived. So,
Right.
yeah, I'm sure there's Lakers fans over in that New England area.
But no Patriots for you.
No, definitely not.
Okay.
Not to offend anybody, but definitely not a New England fan. It'll be Rams all the way.
Okay. Well, the record has been set straight on your team, so now we know we have it documented. All right. So as you know on this show, we like to talk about food, and we already talked about cheese curds a little bit. We talked about what you can get in Texas, but when you go home and you get a home cooked meal, who's making that meal, and what kind of meal are you getting?
Here, if I'm going back to my place here in Abilene, I'll make my food. Especially with this job, I've done better. I was an extremely picky eater, and I still am pretty picky eater, but I've learned to make a lot of different foods now. And my definite go-to meal here, I'll have it for lunch almost every day because it's easy to make, is basil chicken and pasta. It's a pretty easy meal to make. You just get some chicken breast, cut it up into little cubes, saute that with some tomato sauce or some tomato basil sauce, onions, garlic, basil, parsley, a little bit of cayenne pepper, and then stir all that together. Make some pasta, put it all together, mix it up, serve it with some Parmesan. It's really good. It's really easy. If I'm going home to my parents, probably my dad's schnitzel.
Ooh.
It's pork that's fried in Italian herb or Italian seasoning with some onion potatoes. It's really good. I'll make it here every now and then. It takes a long time and it gets pretty messy, so I don't want to make it here as much because I have to clean it up. But no, it's a very good meal. My dad's amazing at making it, so that's definitely the one thing where it's like, yeah, can we have this for dinner? And it's amazing.
That does sound really good. Schnitzels, that's like a German type deal, right?
It is, and that was one of the things that he really did well at making. We lived in Germany for a few years, and he loved making it. He really got to learn from Germans over there who are our neighbors, and it's a very good meal.
Man, I kind of miss German food. I used to eat German food pretty often when I lived in Tennessee, and yeah, the schnitzels, man, that brought back memories. So I could definitely see that being like a really good thing to eat back home. Yeah. But sounds like you like to cook yourself, and you might have to make me some lunch one day. That sounds really good.
Sounds good.
Yeah, man. All right, next question for you. So you played football at UW Stout. I'm going to brag on you a little bit. I know you're a pretty humble guy, but I'm going to brag. You did everything there. You threw passes, you caught passes, you ran the ball, you kicked the ball, you punted the ball, you returned the ball. held a single game record for your conference in return yards. So you did a lot on the football field. So obviously you're pretty diverse. You could do a little bit of everything. But if you had to play a different sport, what would that sport be?
Baseball.
Really?
Baseball. Oh, yes. Yes, sir. I loved baseball. I still love baseball. I played baseball up through high school. I might have been better at baseball than I was at football, but I loved football to no end, and I worked on football as much as I could. But definitely baseball. Track is in there every now and then, but that's more of an individualized sport. I mean, I ran 100 and 200, so I ran straight, and I ran straight with a turn. And baseball, it was a different game. I loved the outfield. I was a center fielder, and I was a pitcher when they made me be a pitcher, but I was a center fielder, and I took pride in that. And I was fast. I mean, I was able to use my 100 times and my ability from football as a wide receiver and running back to steal bases. As a freshman, I might still hold, I don't know, the freshman record at the high school for stolen bases. And I love baseball, and it's a fun game to me. It's fun to watch. So it definitely would have been baseball.
Okay, awesome. Who's your favorite athlete of all time?
Ooh, every sport, or of just baseball and then just football?
Every sport. Yeah, go for it.
Ooh. Of every sport.
Yeah. Or if you need time, you just go ahead and do baseball and football then.
Baseball, I would say Ted Williams for sure. Boston Red Sox, one of the best hitters in history, and definitely number 9. If it was football, I don't know. I'd probably say Gale Sayers from the Chicago Bears. I mean,
wow.
Gale Sayers was a great one. If it was an all-around athlete, I mean, even though his time was short, I'd probably say Bo Jackson. He was one of the best athletes to ever play the game of both games. But yeah, I'd probably say them. Football is kind of hard because there's so many that it's just like I could pick somebody, and I feel like a lot of people would agree.
Right.
But Gale Sayers was one of those guys that after I saw the movie Brian's Song, I really started watching a lot more Gale Sayers and understanding how he played. And I mean, he was a running back, and I was a running back in high school. So that was somebody that I really looked at. And of course, I would say Leroy Butler too, because I idolized everything off of him. I read his book, and I got a signed jersey. He signed a jersey for my uncle, and now I have that jersey. But I would probably say Gale Sayers for football, Ted Williams for baseball, and then Bo Jackson altogether.
Okay. Yeah. Hey, you know what? I respect the classic answers. I really like that because a lot of people go current or, I guess 2010s. But yeah, for you to name those athletes is very impressive. And Bo Jackson is kind of where I thought you might go with that because multi-sport athlete, the best, possibly the best to ever do football and baseball. Deion's got a case too, I think. But Bo Jackson, man, he was an athlete. Alabama guy, by the way.
Yeah. Deion was up there, but Deion was more, and I say Bo Jackson because I feel like Bo was a little bit more humble. He's more my personality too about it. Sure. I mean, obviously he had all the commercials and everything, but he seemed more like a humble dude. And I love Deion Sanders too. I think he's one of the best athletes to ever live. But he was more of that prime time. He knew he was prime time, and that wasn't really my whole personality with the whole thing. But that was my case between those two was personality is what stuck out to me. So definitely Bo Jackson as the all around, I would say.
Awesome. Cool. Okay. Well, hey, speaking of personality, this will be really telling of your personality. When it comes to music, when it comes to movies, we all have guilty pleasures and we love to reveal those on this show. What's your guilty pleasures?
I don't know if it's a guilty pleasure because it's one of those where I'm going to play it and I'm not going to feel guilty about it because I'm okay with it. But music is kind of all around. If you're in the weight room and I'm in here, or if I'm in here and you walk in, it's most likely going to be a little bit harder rock, especially now. For the last year, I guess it's been pretty hard rock and metal style stuff.
Okay.
But hip hop will play in here when athletes are in here for the most part, and And then I guess I'll go guilty pleasure of EDM, electronic dance music. I'm very high into that. I've been to a lot of concerts that involve that, a lot of Technicolor and bright and lights and everything like that. It sounds like Transformers, but that kind of music.
Yeah.
Movies, I like horror movies. I like action. I like war movies a lot. War movies are a big thing. 13 Hours is one of my favorite movies of all time. So, and I'm trying to think if there is a guilty pleasure movie where it's like, oh, you're really watching that?
Right.
But, I mean, I can't really think of one. I do love Disney movies. My sister is huge into Disney movies. So maybe that'll go it. Maybe that doesn't coincide with the strength coach, but yeah, I love Disney movies. I got the Disney Plus and a lot of the old stuff though, the stuff that used to be on Disney Channel as a movie back in the 90s. I mean, Johnny Tsunami and all those kind of things that were awesome original movies. Those are definitely, I can go on Disney Plus right now, put Johnny Tsunami on, and I'll watch that from beginning to end.
Man, I can't remember the last time I even heard Johnny Tsunami, but that makes me want to go home and watch, binge watch all of that, man. That 90s Disney is prime Disney.
90s Disney and 90s Nickelodeon with Rocket Power and all them. I mean,
Rocket Power, man, that was the best.
Those are I'll give those my guilty pleasure. Is 90s cartoons are my guilty pleasure. I can put on Rocket Power, like Rugrats, especially too, with a lot of the adult humor that none of us caught as kids.
Oh yeah,
those are my guilty pleasures because now they're funny. Before it was okay, it's cartoons. Now it's funny to listen to some of it and really hear what was going on and everything like that.
Yeah, the beauty of YouTube too. You can go back and watch some of those old episodes. This is so random too, but I was into Cartoon Network in the 90s as well. So I watched like Powderpuff Girls and
Dexter's Laboratory and
Dexter's, yeah, definitely.
And what was it? Courage the Cowardly
Dog. That's actually the one I watched the most recently. Courage. Oh man, Courage was great. And dude, there's innuendos in that too that maybe we didn't get back in the day.
Yeah, and in every show there was those, like the Rocko's Modern Life is one of the biggest ones. Cat Dog. I mean, all of those shows were definitely made by adults for adults in a kid's show. I mean,
right.
They are great shows, and they've actually held the test of time for the most part. I mean, a lot of those shows you can say, "Oh, what is this?" and kids will still know it because they'll just replay them and they'll see it. But yeah, those are definitely the guilty pleasures. 90s cartoons are. I'll go with that.
Man, that's awesome. I could talk 90s cartoons all day. That's amazing, man. And that's, nothing guilty between us about that. I don't think so.
Right.
All right, Zach, final question for you. You've only been here a week now, but, so far, what's been your favorite thing about McMurry?
So far, it's been the coaching staff. I mean, obviously, it'll probably end up being the students, but right now, pretty much only basketball is here. There's a handful of students here and there that are still around and come into the weight room and say hi and introduce themselves. But I would say it's the staff so far. Everybody's been super welcome and helpful with everything. And it's just been an easy transition into the university. I mean, I've been places where I'll jump right in and I'll get thrown to the fire, but it won't be such an easy transition in some places. For the most part, it has been. Here, it's been great. I mean, I've met pretty much every coach for the most part, not everybody, but met all the coaches. I talked to quite a few of them. I'll walk over and hang out with some of them and just talk, and it's pretty easy to do. So definitely the staff.
That's awesome, man. That's a great answer. And, I think you'll come to find that the longer you're at McMurry, the more it's about the people, and the people are what make this university so great. And I think you're already seeing that now. So, obviously, we're looking forward to having our students back with the new year coming up in January. We'll be full-fledged with a lot of sports going on. So, Zach, that'll be an exciting time for you. Welcome to McMurry officially. We're excited to have you here, and thank you for taking the time to come on the show today.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, tune in next week for another episode of A Walk with the Warhawks. For Coach Zak Snell, I'm Mike Ezekiel.